Welcome to another episode of How to ABX. In today's video, it is Combat Female Burn Day, 9/5/2023. I'll talk briefly about the rotation. There are two because it is a swamp rotation. And then I will give you an example of using it in action, and then we'll talk about more information if you want to hang around, like what team I have built up and how my account looks, as well as alternatives. So basically, I'm going to be using She-Hulk today. Basically, with She-Hulk, she has Rage. It's going to be 3 delayed cancel, 2, 5, 4. You let 4 play out. 1 is kind of a filler. Then you're going to do 3 delayed cancel again. You're going to delay it until she does the punch. And then it's 2, 5, 6. Just let 6 finish playing out and wait until your 3's ready again, and then just kind of rinse and repeat. So it's pretty easy rotation. It is definitely a rotation that you are not going to want to proc on. You're going to want to Rage. At the very least, you want an anger proc, but Rage her up. It's definitely worth a Rage, especially if you want to push your overall AB scores. Now, she can't cancel, and she's not a tier 4, so you're going to want to swap to Titania. Now, I've got a Rage on my Titania. Her traditional rotation is 3 cancel, when 6 is ready, 6 cancel, 4 delayed cancel until the orb appears, 5, 2. The problem is, in order to cancel, you need to cancel as soon as the foot's raised. So I'm actually going to skip 4 and do 3, 6, 5 so I can get the cancel off. Once the cancel is done, I'll do 4 delayed cancel 2, and then I'll do her normal rotation if there's time before switching back over to She-Hulk. Now, there is a more optimal team with a triple swap, but we'll talk about that in the additional information after. I'm muting my microphone as I hack into your ear. So let's go ahead and give you an example of using that, and like I said, if you want to stick around, I'll give you additional information. So 3, 2, 5, 4. 3, 2, 5, 4. Okay, so we go right up away. 3, punch, 2, 5, 4. Got that nice proc there. Let that finish. You're going to do 1, just as a filler. And then we're going to wait for a second. 3, 2, 5, 6. Let 6 play all the way out. Should deal this little roar here, right here. Boom! And then you're going to do a 3 again. 2, 5, 4. And then 1. All right, 3, 2, 5. I'm sorry, 5, 2, 6. Let that pop. Boom. 3, 2, 5, 4. I'm already starting to lose my procs. I do lose her procs a lot. It is kind of tricky, but you know, you just work with what you got, right? He's going to be jumping center around 209. That's usually his first roar time. It is delayed because he's stunned right now. So I've mentioned in other videos that you can delay it. So I'm going to swap here. And like I said, I'm going to do 3, 6, 5. Let 5 cancel. Ah, and I missed the cancel. Had to do it a little bit quicker. I'm going to pretend I left that in to give you an example of why it's important to do it as quickly as possible as soon as he jumps center. Actually, I would say as soon as he turns. I wouldn't wait for the paw raise, just to make sure you can get that cancel in. 5 will cancel, but it is a pretty delayed point of where you do the burn damage. So let's try that one more time. I'm going to leave that in because I think it's important to see. We're going to do 3, 2, 5, 4. 1. All right, give it just a second. 3, 2, 5, 6. And then 3 is ready. 3, 2, 5, and 4. All right, 3, 2, 5, 6. Nice proc there with both the inside and the rage. See, I procced early there, which does happen, so I'm not going to get as much damage as I could have, and it might even be a little less damage than last time. Didn't stun him, so again, boom, try to get this in as quickly as possible. That should be a cancel this time. There it is. Now I'm going to hit the 4, throw that orb, and then do the 2. When the 2's done, I do a 1 until I can do a 3, 5, and now we're switching back to She-Hulk as soon as she's ready. 3, 2, 5, 4. So yeah, make sure you try to get that in earlier. It is tricky to cancel, and if you're having trouble canceling, just try to tap those skills earlier. You'll notice I had to switch the skills a little bit because I wasn't able to actually use them because he was not targetable yet. So sometimes you just have to work with it and play around until you can force that cancel. But that's one of the reasons why I want to show these in action so you can see how they're used. and give you some suggestions and tips. Next roar should be coming up right around now. I'm going to switch as soon as he's targetable. Actually, I missed the 6. That's fine. We want to make sure we get the cancel right away. 6-4 2. It's not. We're not trying to do her actual full rotation. We're trying to get the cancel off. But by putting in the other skills, we can also increase the score. Since we're swapping, might as well. At least that's the way I think about it. You'll find in this game, everybody plays it slightly differently, and everybody has an opinion, and everyone thinks they're right. I don't think I'm right. I listen to other people's opinion and feedback when it comes to rotations and builds, test it out myself, and see if it works. 38's the last roar. It's important to pay attention to those roar timers. I'm going to go ahead and punch anyway and charge up my skills a little bit more, but I'm not going to use my 6. I'm going to swap, and like I said, right away, boom. So before his feet land, that should have been a cancel there. Yes. And then 4, 2, 1. I'll use the... Oh, I should not have used that co-op because now I can't switch to She-Hulk because she came in as a striker. All right. 3, 2, 5, 6. Get that burst right there. And then I'm going to do another 3, 2, 5, 4. Is actually a pretty bad score. It was a bad run. I might rerun that later. Didn't even hit 10 million. Yeah, ouch. That's a bad run. I think, let me double check next time. So I was using Civ previously, and I still have a rage on Civ. But this team does more damage, and She-Hulk does more damage on a whole. So if I scroll up to last combat burn day, combat female burn day, let's see, yeah, no, I use Civ there, and I do about 8 million, so this is more, which is why I switched up the team up. Because everyone's been talking about, oh, this is better. There we go. No, that's the one I just ran. I thought I had one more combat female day. I need to scroll through this. She-Hulk, there it is. 9.6 million. Okay, so that's about what I'm averaging with my account, which is disappointing compared to some of my other characters. And there is a triple swap, which apparently is much better than this, which is where you use Valkyrie and you will swap between She-Hulk, Titania, and Valkyrie, and they all have rages. So let's talk about the teams here and move forward. My Valkyrie actually has an insight, so I don't swap to her. So 9, 5, 4, 8, 2, 4. I like to track how I'm doing. Let's first always show my cards, my X swords, and then I show my character that I'm using as the main. So if you've been watching for a while, you're aware of that. So let's go. Cards. Just going to pause for a quick second. There's my cards. Go to my X swords. Here are my X swords. The reason I show that, if you've not been here before, is just for the simple fact that cards and X swords play a factor in how well you do, and how you build your characters dependent on what your cards are. Sometimes you build your characters based upon what your cards give you, but sometimes you try to pick cards to keep your characters a certain way. So She-Hulk. Marvel Studios She-Hulk Attorney at Law. Regardless of how you feel about the show and how good or bad it is, that doesn't matter. This is the best uniform. And it is the most meta character for today for the most part. So I've got a rage on her. She's definitely worth raging. ISO 8 set, Power the Angry Hulk. Honestly, any of the attack sets work. Just make sure that they're 6 stars and all red. I've got all the skills maxed out on my characters. I do have most of her items amplified here. If you're going to equip Urus, please make sure they're at least 5 stars, if not 6. If I made all of these up to 6-star Urus and I made sure they were all amplified, I would do more damage. So I could probably increase my score that way, but as you can see, I'm down to 3 million gold because I've been working on building characters, so I need to kind of stockpile some stuff before I go back to it. Cable's expensive, by the way. So yeah, that's my overall build for She-Hulk. Here are her stats. Pretty much most of them are kept. If I move out of the way, you can see cooldown as well. All right, so my team up. Why do I have the team that I have, and what are some alternate options for today? So let me go back to Alliance Battle. I'm going to go to Challenge Mode. So I'm using She-Hulk's leadership because she has the best support ability in the game as her lead ability, which is damage dealt. The Frost Beast is considered a male, so that 65% increased damage dealt does apply, which makes her a great lead even if you're not actually using her and have her built. Valkyrie, of course, has also the damage dealt as a support ability that applies to all allies. It's 55%. So now we are already getting up to 120% damage dealt, which is incredibly powerful. As mentioned, I have an insight on my Valkyrie. As an alternative, you could put a rage on your Valkyrie and do a triple swap. A lot of people say that is the most meta team for today. This team right here with a triple swap. Who are most people? Some of the veteran players that I usually talk to, like folks in my alliance after 5 Avengers. Titania. So Titania's build here, I've got some amplification going on. I do have Poa, again, all 6, all red. That's important. Cruelty, Rage. I've got her Fear Itself uniform. And here are some of the details for her. So I used her as a swap character. I swapped Cancel. She-Hulk does more. So that's why I have She-Hulk as the main damage right there. Alternate options, like I said, Civ does pretty decent. I do still have a Rage on my Civ, which I probably should pull off today if we're still at half off on Equip. Yeah, I probably should pull this off of her. Because at this point, even though I like the character Civ, she's just not very effective in ABX anymore. She's been replaced for quite a while now. You could still use Civ if you have her built. Once upon a time, Red She-Hulk was actually pretty effective. But honestly, if you build Titania or She-Hulk, I think you're in the best shape, and this is still probably one of the best team-ups. Now, Civ, in this uniform specifically, does have some bonuses and advantages to the team. First thing I'll point out is her passive. That's not that passive. Got to make sure I'm doing the right passive. Oh, it is on her uniform. That's what I forgot. My apologies. So she does have leadership, so if you didn't have She-Hulk, you could use Civ's leadership. She has the 30% increase of hit points and physical attack. You do need to have this particular uniform with the Alsgard Invasion. If we go over here to the uniform effects, this applies to all allies. So she does have damage dealt to boss types by 45%, making this a lead/support uniform. It is a fantastic uniform to have because without it, her other uniforms are not, I mean, there's no uniform here, but without this, you know, there's no bonus there. So this is the uniform you need if you're going to use her on the team. It's also the uniform if you're going to use her as a damager and attacker. So if you don't have a uniform, I probably wouldn't use her for support or leadership at all. Other alternatives is you could use Crescent here with the 60% physical attack. But as I've mentioned multiple times, the increase of attack damage has prevention that immunities, resistances, and shields that the enemies have is not as effective as the damage dealt, which is the damage that already gets through. So damage dealt is better. So even though you could use Crescent if you had to as a leader, it is better to use She-Hulk. I don't think there is anyone else here I would even consider besides for maybe X-23. If you had built X-23 with the all-new Wolverine uniform, she does do pretty decent. She used to be okay to use for today. There was still a lot of swapping involved, so unfortunately we don't have really good combat females in the game, but those are your optimal options. So She-Hulk number 1, Titania number 2, Valkyrie number 3. Then I would follow that with probably Civ and then X-23 as options for your damage. Leadership should be She-Hulk, Crescent, or Civ, and support characters should be Valkyrie and Civ if you have her uniform. So those are your options. Those are the things to consider today. If this was useful or helpful at all, consider thumb-upping and leaving comments below. It helps the algorithm, and it's always nice to hear different perspectives. So thank you for watching, and may your ABX score be as high as possible.